Thank you, Mr. President. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you and the members of the Passive Observation Delegation for visiting Georgia to observe the parliamentary elections amid the unusual and challenging circumstances. We much appreciate your support of the democratic process in Georgia. The recent elections have been extraordinary due to the COVID pandemic. The governments across the world had to adapt to the new reality of increased health risks without putting democracy on hold. The Georgian government spared no efforts in order for the elections to be in compliance with the international health standards and recommendations, including ensuring the necessary sanitary measures at the polling stations, as well as adjusting the existing legislation for those in quarantine and self-isolation to be able to cast their votes. In total, 127 special stations with the mobile ballot boxes were established for that reason. We welcome the largely positive international assessments, further shared by the international community, which clearly states that 31st October parliamentary elections were competitive and overall fundamental freedoms were respected. Nevertheless, a number of shortcomings have been identified. We very much value Mr. Koch's report and stand ready to adequately react to the deficiencies observed by the mission, among those special attention paid to the issue of campaign financing, which has been a subject of interest to PASE and international monitors since the presidential elections 2018. The engagement of our international partners in this process carries a great importance, and we look forward to receiving the particular recommendations from you. It is also very important that the opposition political parties participate in this process. Our international partners continue to call on Georgian opposition to enter the parliament. We remain hopeful that the opposition representatives will take up their mandates granted to them by 800,000 voters and shift to the democratic process from streets to the parliament, because up to the date there is not a single piece of evidence of any ground based on which the election results may be questioned. I've heard a number of concerns raised during our speeches made by the speakers. I can assure you that unfortunately 21st century sometimes we become the victims of disinformation, and we've seen some of them right online. First of all, there have been not a single arrest of any candidate, especially 2 weeks before, but in general there is not a single case that can be counted. Local NGOs making the statement in regard being one of the worst elections. It has to be also mentioned that exactly 1.5 months later they made an official statement saying that they've made a mistake which was related to PVT, parallel voting tabulations, and admitted the error, which was the main reason for making this big noise and the street actions. So it has to be mentioned at the same time. They've made their point to this regard. Local self-governance elections are to be held in 2021 in Georgia, and our political party is committed to work, and I'm finishing, with all interested parties to make sure that the recommendations are considered and changes are introduced in the legislation and the standards for election administration process are improved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We now come to the end of the debate with just one element, potentially more. Does the rapporteur, Mr. Ian Granger, wish to have the floor?